Good morning, children. We are again back after a short gap of the exam. The online classes have started, the video uploadings have also started. Now there is not much time also left for your board. Now you have to start with the full swing for preparation of your board exam. Before that, let me tell you, children, that the discussion of the questions for the of your question papers will be discussed in the online classes. Your respective teachers will do that. And one more thing I must tell you, that by this time definitely you have found out your lacuna, your mistakes, your shortcomings, that what you are lagging behind in which subject, in which area you have realized, and now you will try to rectify yourself, correct yourself, and you would start preparing for the board exam. Especially let me tell about English, that you have realized the need of practicing grammar, how much it is important, because 1 marks gone means that cannot be, isn't it? Means we have to be very particular about the MCQs, that we have to make sure that 40 on 40 should come, and for that you have to practice grammar. The next point that I want to come is, children, now as because not much time is left, I think that you all have already fixed a target that by the end of say November or at the beginning of December, definitely you will finish your all the revisions, all the syllabus completion, and you will start revising. So for that, we have to hurry up. Even in uploading videos also, I have to hurry up. If not today for the first day, but after some time, I will have to start by uploading two videos at a time. Children, it might be a bit difficult, but find out your time, manage your time, and watch the videos accordingly. But there is as no time to waste. You have to increase the study time. Increase the study time means it should be justified. Study time should be there. You will sit and find out make a proper schedule, that for which subject how much time you will spend every day, and that you will prepare a very nice routine and would fix your study hours. Okay, children? Okay. Come, let's begin with the glimpses of India today. From first flight, glimpses of India. Glimpses of India, it has 3 parts, Baker from Goa, Kurg, and tea from Assam. So let us start from Baker from Goa, that is from the west. Before we start Baker from Goa, let me remind you once again that you all know that the British, they had their colonies, the Dutch colonies were there, and the Portuguese colony was also there in India. And Portuguese colony was not for a small time. It was over 100 years. 1500 it started, and almost 1605 or something like that it continued. So there was a long span of Portuguese colony in India, and 100 years definitely is enough to put an effect on the life of the people of a particular area, which they had on the life of the Goanese people. So let us start. Our elders are often heard reminiscing nostalgically about those good old Portuguese days, the Portuguese and their famous loaves of bread. Now the narrator says that his elders, that is his father, rather grandfather, great-grandfather, that is the forefathers, they often heard, he has heard from his grandfather, father or great-grandfather, that the reminiscing nostalgically about those good old Portuguese days, that they were very happy about the Portuguese days when the Portuguese were there in Goa, and they had an influence on their lives, especially their famous loaves of bread. Those eaters of loaves might have vanished, that is his great-grandfather, grandfather might have vanished, but the makers are still there. But those who used to make the loaves, they are still there. They are still there means those who used to prepare at that time, definitely they are not there. but their generation after generation, they are in the same profession. So maybe the grandfather was there, then the father, then the son now is in the same profession of making bread. So makers are still there. We still have amongst us the mixers, those who used to mix the flour, etc., the molders, those who prepare the mold, and those who bake the loaves. So they are still there. Those age-old time-tested furnaces still exist. The time-tested furnaces, that is the furnaces that they used to use at that time, those furnaces are still there. The fire is still there. What does that mean? That is, time could not take toll on the furnaces. The furnaces are still burning. It's not, means the fire has not extinguished. It's still burning. That process is still continuous. So those age-old time-tested furnaces still exist, and the fire in the furnace has not yet been extinguished. The thud and jingle, the traditional baker's bamboo, heralding his arrival in the morning, can still be heard in some places. In some places, still you can hear the sound of the bamboo. You know, when the bamboo stick is banged on the ground, it will make a thud sound. So that's thud sound, the jingle, that is the, what is the jingle sound? That is the bells that were attached on the with the bamboo. So when they move, the bells used to ring, and when they put the bamboo stick on the ground, they used to make the sound of thud. These were the sounds that heralding his arrival in the morning, that is, that those sounds used to announce that the baker has reached, can still be heard in some places. Maybe the father is not alive, but the son still carries on the family profession. These bakers are even today known as padder in Goa. Very important thing to remember. Who are the padders? That is the bakers of Goa. They are called to be padder over there. During our childhood in Goa, the baker used to be our friend, companion, and guide. Think the importance of the bakers in the life of the children and the common people, how much they were needed and how much they were loved, how much they were accepted in the family, that almost they were the friend, companion, and guide. Today, children might not connect with with this type of hawkers, but at that time, children were like that. And once we set out in the morning on his selling round, he used to come at least twice a day. He used to visit our houses twice a day. Once when he set out in the morning on his selling round, when his business started for that day, and then again when he returned after emptying his huge basket, ending the trading for that day. At that, both these two times, he used to come and visit to our houses. The jingling thud of his bamboo woke us up from sleep, and we ran to meet and greet him. So the sound of his jingle and thud sound, we used to woke up and we used to rush to meet him. Now, was it for the love of the loaf? Now, you might think that we were so fascinated towards bread. For that, we used to run to meet him. Was what we longed for? Not at all. No, that is not the reason. The loaves were bought by some paskin or bastin, the maidservant of the house. Now the loaves were given to the paskin or the bastin because they were the maidservant, the very common Guanese names, you can understand. And because actually the breads or the loaves of bread, what you say, they were needed by the ladies of the homemakers of the family, because they had to provide the food, or they had to provide the breakfast to the family. So they needed it. The children, they did not need. What the children needed? What we longed for were those bread bangles which we chose carefully. Sometimes it was sweet bread of special make. The bread bangles, that is the bread of shape of bangles. and we were very interested in that. We are very fond of that. They were sweeter in taste, nicer in taste, more interesting in taste, and different from the loaves. We were actually fascinated to those bread bangles, and that is why it was a charm to meet the baker in the very early morning. The baker made his musical entry on the scene with the jang jang sound of his specially made bamboo staff. How this jang jang sound could be made? The jang jang sound could be made with a bamboo staff. If you slit from the middle and if you beat hardly, then what would happen? A jang jang sound would come. So the baker made his musical entry. It is a very interesting word, that the musical entry he had on the scene with a jang jang sound of his specially made bamboo staff. One hand supported the basket on his head and the other banged the bamboo on the ground. One hand supported the basket on his head and the other hand with the bamboo he used to make the sound. He would greet the lady of the house with good morning and then place his basket on the vertical bamboo. We kids would be pushed aside with a mild rebuke and the loaves would be delivered to the servant. So the first purpose of his was to deliver the breads to the servants. So when we, the small children, used to flock around him, to crowd around him, he used to give a mild rebuke to us. Mainly joint family, so many children were there and all used to come, and at that time it was not like his who's. So all the children used to come and gather around the baker. So the baker used to give a mild rebuke that please go away, first let me deliver the bread to the maid, then he will come, like that. And then but we would not give up. But we would also not give up. We would climb a bench or a parapet that is on some high place and peeped into the basket somehow. And we would peep into the basket somehow that what at the store for that day, what was stored for us for that day. I can still recall the typical fragrance of those loaves. That typical fragrance of those loaves, the narrator says that he can still remember because he is also nostalgic about his childhood and his the breads in his childhood days, the morning breads in his childhood days. I can still recall the typical fragrance of those loaves. Loaves for the elders and bangles for the children. Very clear. Then we did not even care to brush our teeth or wash our mouths properly. We were so interested, so eager to have it that we could not wait for to brush our teeth even. We did not have the time or patience to brush our teeth even. So, and why should we? Now, after some time, after eating the bread, maybe in the daytime, the guilty conscience hits that we did not brush our teeth. Now, they pacified themselves by saying that why should we? Who would take the trouble of plucking the mango leaf for the toothbrush? And now if you can't brush your teeth with a toothbrush, at least manage a mango leaf and then brush it. Brush your teeth with the mango leaf. That is also. They could not take the pain or they could not afford the time or patience to take a mango leaf and brush their teeth also. That also they couldn't do. So now the final explanation is that why was it necessary at all? Why was it so necessary? Because the tiger never brushed his teeth. The tiger never brushed his teeth, and who had heard that tiger has tooth pain, toothache and a loss of teeth extraction? Have you heard? Or the tiger has lost teeth at very early age, so it cannot eat the flesh. Have you heard? No, no. Then why? Do they brush? No. Then why should we have to be so particular in brushing the teeth? It's not needed. Can have food even not brushing the teeth. Hot tea could wash and clean up everything so nicely after all. And finally, with the bread, we will have the hot tea. And gargling with the hot tea is enough. all the germs will die with the hot tea. So that was the explanation for the narrator for not brushing their teeth and having the bread so early in the morning. Next, marriage gifts are meaningless without the sweet bread known as the bowl. So marriage gifts would definitely come with the sweet bread known as the bowl. Just as a party or a feast loses its charm without bread. That means every occasion in Goa, the bread is mandatory. So they needed the sweet bread bowl for the marriage, and the party or a feast is not over without the bread. Not enough can be said to show how important a baker can be for a village. So now he says that it's not enough to say, means he cannot make us explain enough that how much a baker or a bakery or those furnaces or those molders and mixers were how much necessary for the village, because each village needed one bakery like that, because the bread, different types of bread in different forms, were mandatory or must for the different occasions in the village. So how can a village be without a bakery? Now the lady of the house must prepare sandwiches on the occasion of her daughter's engagement. See, in every occasion, every holy occasion even, they need the bread. Cakes and bolinhas are a must for Christmas as well as other festivals. Thus, the presence of the baker's furnace in the village is absolutely essential. So these are the reasons why a baker's furnace was needed very much in the villages of Goa at that time. The baker or bread seller of those days had a peculiar dress. Now, how did they look like? What they used to wear? What was their lifestyle? We are interested to know about that also. So, the baker or the bread seller of those days had a peculiar dress known as kawai. What is kawai? It was a single piece long frock reaching down to the knees. In our childhood, we saw bakers wearing a shirt and trousers which were shorter than full length ones and longer than half pants. That is what you call nowadays the 3/4. They used to wear that type of dresses. Even today, anyone who wears a half pant which reaches just below the knees invites a comment that he is dressed like a padder. Even today, those who dress like that, they are called to be dressed like a padder, that is dressed like a baker. The baker usually collected his bills at the end of the month. Monthly accounts used to be recorded on some wall in pencil. Now, they did not collect collect the money every day from the family. The account was kept, and at the end of the month they used to come and collect the money. Now monthly accounts could be used to be recorded on some wall in pencil. The ladies of the house, they did not maintain the record in copies, in diaries or anywhere. They had a habit of maintaining it on the walls with a small pencil. Don't ask me that when the wall get exhausted, how would they maintain the accounts? That don't ask me. Maybe they would whitewash or they would erase or they would manage somehow. But the record was maintained on the walls only. Baking was indeed a profitable profession in the old days. Now your question might come into your mind that what was the condition of the bakers at that time when the sale was so much, when they were needed in every occasion for every family, then definitely they were quite rich, or at least they had, their income was quite good, handsome. Yes, that is true. Because baking was indeed a profitable profession in the old days. The baker and his family never starved. His family and his servants, remember, when a servant can be kept, when a family can afford a servant, when they had that much that after completing their daily needs, they can afford to keep another servant, they can afford to maintain the maintenance of another person, then only they can maintain a maid or a servant. So the bakers could do that. That means they were at least that much afford, they could afford that. That is why they could maintain a servant. So the baker, his family never starved. He, his family, and his servants always looked happy and prosperous. Their plump physique was an open testimony to this. They were not lean and thin, they were quite plump. That is, they used to eat good food. So, a mark of prosperity, definitely. So, they had a plump body, physique was an open testimony to this. Even today, any person with a jackfruit like physical appearance is easily compared to a baker. A person who is like jackfruit, that is, who has a bulging stomach, they are called to be like a jackfruit who look like, they are called to be compared to be a baker. That is, it's a very common thing that the bakers were quite fat with a heavy belly, protruding belly, and good physique. So, which was a mark of, what to say, mark of prosperity, you can say, among them. So the people still now, those who have jackfruit like body, they are called to be like, compared to a baker. Okay, so very interesting chapter. Definitely we did not know much about the bakers at that time, especially from Goa. We did not know their names, their dresses, how the different types of breads. Definitely you will learn from here. And yes, you will prepare yourself accordingly. Okay, children. Next day we will continue with the next part of this chapter, that is Kurg and the tea from Assam. Okay. So for then, bye, children.